Today I'm going to be talking about sentience and how unconscious expectations become nullified um, or overridden. And I talked about sentience with a friend of mine named Gregory. We were talking about how this new human energy is by invitation, where we get to experience synchronous moments. The future reaches into the past, taps us on the shoulder. There's wheel time, which is sacred, and there's linear time like an arrow. So sentience is like being able to see change. Change is like one thing to the next. But actually, sentience is beyond just, you know, chronological order. Sentience is saying this is good, this is bad, this is meaningful, this is not. It has models. It has models of being able to think. So, when I look back at my childhood, I could say I was oppressed, I was a victim, or I could say I was vibrant and curious. Sentience is the ability to say these qualities I had. The way that we say a prophet is a holy fool, where wisdom is on the fringe, and it makes no sense to logic. We get to see that sentient means that not every thought is me. I am observing. I have a model for myself, and some, even when they're at the forefront, are not real. So some of the ways in which I personally find this to, come out in the world is like when I practice mercy and understanding. It's for my own sake, not the others that I'm being merciful or understanding to, because I get the transformative effects. Transformation means change. When we say sentience, we're saying there is the ability here to be aware outside of things happening in a chronological order. All truth, which stands, and you can rely on it, comes from a lesson that invites change. We change or the environment changes. And even our perceptions change, what we focus on. So I find that writing dissolves my personality, who I thought I was, and like art condenses it, who I am able to be. And we all have moments of not feeling dignified. I, for one, struggle with, like, when I'm not feeling dignified inside, I might create circumstances on the outside where I'm not going to be, where I'm going to be externally, unconsciously, recreating not dignity. And when you look at it like this, where I say that, the prophet is able to get wisdom beyond sense. There's an element of time that has to do with sentience, where just because you could think doesn't mean you're thinking of things in the right order. In the right, I mean the correct, according to chronological order. And also just for the sake of practicing things for our own transformation, we become the carriers. So for me, this means I have to let go of what's not mine. I have to let go of all the kind of lessons I want to teach people and learn my own lessons. And this idea means that I have to look at people sometimes as as being templates, like wearing disguises. And what is the lesson here? When everything falls away, when the person changes, I saw my cousin and he looked older than the last time I saw him last night. And so as things are changing, we see not every thought is true because it's going to change. That means it cannot be what lasts. It cannot be stronger truth than time. So this eternal nature of time is how we could look at the Savior and the Redeemer go together, the way the king and the priest go together. I've spoken about the king and the priest. The priest doesn't eat so the king can eat. The priest anoints the king. The king is supposed to be able to bring the power of powers through his power or her power, the queen, into the world via the power that is anointed on him, that he's bathed in from the priest. So the same thing with the Savior and the Redeemer. The Savior identifies that there is something that time can change. There is, and redemption is to be outside of the constraints of time. So for me, when I find myself most constrained and the least sentient is when I'm not aware of my unconscious expectations. So I would like to, just run through some of them. And this is just a practice. You're welcome to write your own. What are some? You go into a little meditative state. Maybe do some alternate nostril breathing where you put two fingers right here. The pinky and this finger go here, and the thumb goes here. And you open one and breathe in for 4, close it. Open the other, breathe out for 4. Breathe in for 4, close it, breathe out for 4, breathe in. So I'll do one round of each side just to show you. and so on. And you can do this for a few minutes. It's very calming, very, very, very aligning. And after that, you ask yourself, what are some of my unconscious expectations that have messages for me inside of time? Where can I redeem myself or save myself? Where can I get in touch with my inner royalty and inner divinity, the king priest element? So some of mine are that a man will hold me and cuddle me, that men want to be useful providers, that my flaws will be overlooked because I'm so obviously imperfect and trying my best, that if I submit, someone will dominate, that many are cruel when they can be if you give them authority, that if I'm brave enough to ask for help, a good person will try to help me, and if they can't, it won't be with shame or guilt, that I'll be rejected as a woman for being too hairy, so I have to hide it, that I'm being tested by the Creator and so is everyone else, and our mistakes have dire repercussions, so people need higher power to survive. So it's not clear yet what ramifications they have, but my actual sentience allows this to be brought in as something that's able to meet me in all times. And also I can see why certain patterns, time patterns for my actions have happened, because clearly I'm walking around with these and I'm not even aware of it. And so some things that I want to consider that help me to get outside and become more sentient is, one, it's called mikvah. And it's watery things. I'm a Pisces, so it could be related, but mikvah is immersion. And there's many special traditional times, but there's also when you want to be purified. You could think of it as a baptism, but it's not quite exactly like that. It's an immersion, a ritual immersion. And you can go in the ocean, you can go in a body of water. There's rules with it. It's worth looking into. And the other one is after I go to the bathroom to wash 3 times on each hand. And there's a special blessing for what gets released. And I'm really connecting with that because I want to start saying a blessing for what goes out. I bless the food as it comes in, or I bless the new experiences and dreams that are happening. And at the same time, I want to bless what goes out, that I'm being relieved, that I'm being redeemed from that weight, that who comes to save me can also redeem me. And sometimes the savior is not necessarily the redeemer. Someone brings you out of the situation and somebody else brings you, into the space where you get to choose what you want. Like they say, it's better to help a beggar get a job than to just give him money one time. And this whole idea of harvesting the truth from the lessons, I'll give 6 examples from a man named Sean Sheshan Hashmatpur, where he's talking about how our partners are our teachers. And I've talked a little bit about the men, idea, and he would be talking about the woman. But number 1, be willing to lose someone. His lesson was that he had to learn how to love himself. The person who you lose won't love you maybe, and you got to still love yourself. Another truth he learned is I don't need someone else's validation, but the lesson was through validating himself. He had to change and learn how to validate himself. Number 3, don't ignore red flags is the truth, and the lesson is trust my gut. That's how he had to change. Truth was date with abundance, and the lesson was love is abundant. Don't be treating love like it's not. Truth can't make everyone happy, and the lesson is live life my way. That was how he had to change. And finally, set and enforce clear boundaries is the truth that you have to. And the lesson was he had to overcome his unhealthy attachment to who he thought he was supposed to be. He had to look at his unconscious expectations. And so I wish you well. Have a beautiful weekend. I won't be posting tomorrow a video because of the Sabbath. And wish you that you harvest, your truths from the lessons that invite change in a way that you become more sentient and you override your unconscious expectations.